T-minus 10 minutes. T-minus 9 minutes. T-minus 8 minutes. minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. Minus for minutes. Minus 3 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Well, okie dokie and no beef. Welcome to the RP show on it's Monday, right? We all survived the weekend, clearly, because we're all here. It's hour one, which means it's Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, rocking the free world on Game Plus streaming podcast WQVZ. Hour two will be going to air across Nevada. That's when Mike Richards will be joining us, the inimitable Mike Richards. But speaking of inimitable, Mitchell Scruffy Blair joins us on this Monday to get the party started here on the RP show. Hey, Scruffy, how was the weekend, sir?
It was good. Do I have to get my thesaurus out? Did you just insult me?
Inimitable. He's inimitable. Yeah, go look at later. Now we don't have the time. Let's get right down to it.
Never duplicated.
Bingo. Okay, there's
There
so
you
many
go.
things going on. This might be a surprise, and your big story might be different than my big story, but the big story for me, Mitch, is the World Cup. Fans across the country joyfully roared for Canada after it beat South Africa 1-0 in a nail-biting FIFA World Cup knockout stage match in Los Angeles on Sunday. And they now move on to the round of 16, and they don't know who they'll play yet. I'm into it. Did you watch the game? Where are you on World Cup right now?
Absolutely, I watched it. How could you not? I had the game taped because I was supposed to be doing PA at Curry Field yesterday for a Regina Red Sox game, but that got 86th at the last second. In fact, I was watching it on my phone in the press box, and what was funny was that my feed was a little bit behind somebody else's, so they got the information before I did. And it was like, yeah, and it's like, what? As you saw Schaffelberg start to go down the wing, and then the goal was scored, and like I put up on Twitter yesterday, Rod, Henderson, Eberle, Lemieux, Crosby, Eustachio. Because that's a goal that will go down in Canadian sports history.
Well,
and it
hey,
might be erased if Canada beats the Netherlands or Morocco, which that's a tough task, but what a moment for Canada yesterday.
Well, I'm looking forward to all the coverage going into the next game and all the rest. Remember, Jesse Marsh, was he wearing jeans? Was the coach of Canada wearing jeans? It looked like he...
Yes, he was.
Okay. This is where we are.
That
okay.
Guy. How do we
cool.
not like How can you not like Jesse Marsh?
Did you see him addressing the media in Vancouver last week when they were whining? Why you said you were going to play Alphonso Davies and then you didn't? Why? What do you have to say about that? He was like, for real.
Well, I heard him say
I'm
something
trying to win a
yesterday
game.
about the. I heard him yesterday. I don't know why some are so upset over the fact that he gathers his team around after the game and talks to them. And somebody asked him, it might have been Claire Hanna that asked him the question, I'm not sure. But he said, I don't give a shit what you think. I'm going to do it my way. Like,
these soccer coaches are pretty cool, man. From the audience, by the way, Rich in Edmonton says, after being at the Qatar match, it's impossible for me not to be into it. Vancouver Eric writes in and says, Mitchell, the party starter Blair. Love it. Hey, we're starting something here today. Mitch is the party starter. Yeah, so all of that.
You know what did disappoint me, though, Rod?
Tell me.
They showed highlights of fans across Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver at Jack Poole Place. Toronto at the FIFA Fan Fest. Edmonton. Calgary. Halifax. Does Regina and Saskatoon even know the World Cup's going on?
They don't care out here.
You couldn't have put that game on at Mosaic Stadium yesterday. You couldn't have put it on at the International Trade Center, the Brandt Center. We talk about we need to get events. Like, you could have put it downtown. Like, do we just ignore this, Regina? Do we just ignore this, Saskatoon?
Well, and I just said we got viewers tuning in from some of the bigger cities too. I mean, let's be honest. On the prairies, it's not big. I'm with you, but maybe they're thinking people aren't going to show up.
Mosaic Stadium had over 10,000 people to watch a Toronto Raptors Golden State Warriors NBA Finals game. You couldn't do that again?
This is a way, way, way bigger basketball region than soccer. But listen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But of Canada, just so you know, and it is the Canadian hour, so I got all time for this. You obviously saw it. People are dumping on Jesse Marsh for calling his players Canadian heroes. And Mark Spector, who I think you respect, you read him anyways from Sportsnet Edmonton, he goes, Terry Fox is a Canadian hero.
Well,
not these guys.
I don't disagree with that, and that statement comes out on the 45-year anniversary of Terry Fox's death. I think if Jesse Marsh says that, 2 weeks from now or a month ago, I don't think really I think everybody just sort of lets it go by. And Jesse Marsh obviously didn't know, and I don't even know if he knows the legacy of Terry Fox. But he says it on the 45-year anniversary. But yeah,
it's a coincidence. Yeah. We opened the show.
Can I just ask you this? If John Cooper had called the Canadian men's hockey team Canadian heroes, had they won, thanks Nathan McKinnon, would there be such an outrage over that?
No. You know the answer to that question. No, because they're hockey players. And by the way, Rich in Edmonton writes in and says, is there really no buzz in Sask? How about it's all Wrangler jeans and 4x4, buddy, which I know Edmonton is too. I know that too. But no, there is no buzz around here. And don't be surprised. A.J. Miller says, we had a watch party at the Don Ross Center here in the Battle Fords. Okay. Stop. We got to get to a break here, man. What a great way to start the Monday. Producer Corey writes in and says, plenty of buzz. Just walk the streets of North Central. Everybody's buzzed most of the time.
Oh, my. We're gotten dark all of a sudden.
It didn't take long. No.
It's gotten really dark all of a sudden.
I guess, you know what would be a good poll question? I think I got a good poll question, which we'll get to after the break. It has to do with the NHL draft, but is the Canadian men's soccer team heroes? I mean, let's remind, haven't won diddly squat yet. I mean, they've made history Heroes might be a little much, however, so hang on. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says it's huge in Calgary. I'm sure that it is. How much time? Yeah, we're going to be breaking here right away. We'll be right back on the RP Show.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help.
Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away, ultimatefanzone.ca, or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection, booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's a Monday. We're streaming on Game Plus. We are on WQVZ, going to Silver State Sports in Nevada next hour. The comments are full. They're rife. Everybody wants to talk, but we got to move on. We'll come back on the comments. Time with Scruffy is limited. We are brought to you the Quick Six Show topics for Uniglobe Carefree Travel Group, the preferred travel partner of the RP Show, and the BC Lions when it comes to sports trips, group travel, or your next great getaway. Trust the pros who handle every detail so you can enjoy the journey. Contact Neil Chark with Uniglobe Carefree Travel. There's breaking news today. Brendan Gallagher has been traded to the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not sure you saw that or not. I saw that from the Instagram account. Yeah, Puck Empire, details to follow. And listen, we're going to get to the CFL talk. Just hang on, everybody. It was a busy weekend. Point 2, NHL draft. The Medicine Hat Tigers led all WHL teams with 5 players selected in the 2026 NHL draft, including the Ruck Twins, who miraculously both went to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Regina Pats had 1 player selected, forward Zachary Lansard. Moose Jaw Warriors had none. PA Raiders defenseman Daxon Rudolph went number 4 overall to Buffalo. I got a kick out of this, Mitch. The Dubs sending out, all their numbers of guys that went, and then college hockey doing the same. I got this email from College Hockey Inc. 109 current or former NCAA players selected this year, the most since 2005 when the draft switched to this format. And I'm like, it's so skewed. Gavin McKenna counts as both. WHL and NCAA.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. And I laughed at this weekend because the WHL put out their release. And a lot of Western Hockey League players did go. But you talked about the Medicine Hat Tigers with 5. No, they had 4. Because Gavin McKenna doesn't play for you anymore. He plays for the Penn State Nittany Lions. Keaton Verhoff doesn't play for the Victoria Royals anymore. He plays for North Dakota. I'm sorry, WHL. You want to have these guys, but you've lost them. And next year, Landon DuPont? He's not yours. He's the NCAA's. So don't do this because you look bad in doing it.
Well, I just think it just is an example of all of the leagues. These are just the latest. They just want to massage it. It's a PR battle, right?
Oh, sure it is.
And they did.
But I think everybody realizes that Gavin McKenna isn't a Medicine Hat Tiger anymore. So don't try to tell us that he is.
So
By the way, can you
BS
answer a question for me? Because you would know the answer to this. We were talking about this yesterday. There's a big deal in hockey when the announcement of the first draft pick is made because it's, the so-and-sos would like to welcome from whoever.
It
team,
used to be.
And then the player.
It used to be.
Right.
Used to be a big deal.
Okay, it used to be. Okay, did teams get money out of that?
Of course.
Okay, because we were sort of laughing at the fact that Justin Bieber never said Gavin McKenna of Penn State. It was just, and by the way, that was as cheesy as could be. But it was just like, Mr. McKenna, we'd like to bring you on up.
You just paused. You just hit on what I wanted to talk about. That's the poll question today for Country Thunder. Did you like Justin Bieber announcing the first pick, which Mitch just said he didn't even really announce it? So just so you know, 70% of respondents saying no, they didn't like it. And I'm kind of stuck between going with the flow versus old man yells at clouds because I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? You were obviously watching Friday. You were watching? Were you watching live?
I was, and I liked the way that the NHL jazzed it up. Okay, and I love Gary Bettman getting booed and just like, is that the best you can do? Bettman loves that. He does. And like I said on Twitter, I'd love to see him do the old wrestling heel and come out, get booed, put his hands over his ears, and then walk back. I think that would be so funny. The old Goldie Rogers and Stampede Wrestling days. And I like the fact they jazzed it up and they had guys like Luke Bryan and Kobe Smulders from How I Met Your Mother and stuff like that. I liked how they did that, but when it's the first pick overall, and I guess the fact that teams don't have their GMs and scouts there anymore plays a lot. But yeah, I would have liked to have just seen John Chayka there to bring Gavin McKenna up on stage
Mitch,
and make the announcement himself.
For the love of God, it doesn't have to be Chayka. It doesn't need to be, who's their coach? Jim Hiller. Bring up Keith Pelly. Bring up somebody. But I'm like,
I agree.
I'm sorry. I gotta say it. I don't want to be critical because the leagues hate when you are. But I'm like, they've gone too far. They've got rid of the dress code, which is fine, right? Players can wear whatever they want to the games, which it is what it is. But it's like Bettman says Friday night, we got a real Leaf fan here to make the announcement. And I'm like, oh my, here comes Bieber out of the crowd in a flippin' jumpsuit, baggy sweats. What are we doing here? To be honest, if Bieber had come up to the microphone and said, on behalf of the Toronto Maple Leafs, we would like to select Gavin McKenna of the Penn State Nittany Lions, I wouldn't have had a problem with it, but they made it way too, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's gone too far.
It was over the top.
Okay, well, 70% of people agree with us. So, I don't. What are they trying to do here? Can you just what are they trying to do?
They're trying to attract that younger audience, and I saw a thing on the weekend about the amount of women that are watching the NHL now, and obviously Justin Bieber hits that demographic. But yeah. You know, and like this,
okay.
Just, like had Vancouver gotten the first pick overall, would there have been the glitz and glamour behind that pick that we saw with Toronto having it? Had San Jose gotten the first pick, would we have seen? Like, no, we wouldn't have, because the needle wouldn't have moved with Layla Edwards coming out. That's nothing against Layla Edwards, but the needle wouldn't have moved.
I'm actually glad
to move the needle with Justin Bieber.
I'm glad you brought that up, because here's us on the Monday morning talking about it, which is good for the NHL. And you say the women that are watching, I think they always were. I feel like they were, but I don't know. But what I put it in my newsletter, in my column this morning, that ever since the major leagues popped the top on the entertainment, bringing in the Taylor Swifts and the Justin Biebers and the Drakes, their revenues have gone. It can't be a coincidence. So, yeah. So people can vote on that for the next 20 hours. Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, I thought the draft format was stupid early on, but then it settled to kind of like the old ways, but I don't need to bring up 15 guys to make a pick. Yeah, of course, they went too far that way. You're not wrong. I saw a movement online from people that are saying we need to bring back the coaches and GMs, or not the coaches, the GMs and scouts on site. So we'll see if they do that, but I feel like they won't walk it back. But anyways, again, if you don't like what we're talking about on the RP show, wait 2 minutes and we'll be talking about something else. Point 3, CFL. There's a lot of things to get to. You and I can spend the next 20 minutes on that, Mitch. Touchdown Kelowna was amazing. The game, not so much if you're a BC Lions fan. 41-33, Calgary wins there. I'll just say this. I went out and said, you probably saw it, Kelowna needs an expansion team. And a CFL forefather wrote me. He's probably watching right now. I'm not going to name him, but he politely ripped me and said, it's never going to happen. It's reckless for you to say that. Get people basically worked up for nothing. If I got this right, because it's never going to happen. U.S. expansion is the only way to go. And I just said, I'm just starting discussion like I've done for years. That used to be a thing. Don't come at me. But beyond all of that, it looked stunning. So I'll just say, before I hand it over to you, TSN knows how to do live events. That was spectacular.
Yep.
What I saw out of
Apple
Kelowna
Bowl
on
looked
Saturday.
Great.
Yeah.
Kelowna looked fantastic. I don't know if, there were some clouds in the sky, which I would think that Kelowna would have hoped that it would have been a nice clear day. You had 19,000 people show up at a place where I think you only usually get about 3,500. So the league and the Lions did a great job. They did a lot of things surrounding the game. Roddy, I think that, and I've heard that there have been some informal discussions about Kelowna and where they stand in the CFL sphere. There's a lot of money in Kelowna. There's a lot of tourism money in Kelowna. There's a lot of business people that have ties to Kelowna. Did this get things started? We've got another game to go with the Elkamos there next week. I wouldn't completely throw it out, the idea that Kelowna could be a 10th team. Does a lot more have to be done? Yes. But I think the seeds may have been planted this weekend.
I was talking to a football guy this morning in the States who asked if it was a moneymaker for BC. And I don't know. Like Rich from Edmonton says, the Lions should play a game in Victoria and Kelowna each once a year. Both have been hugely successful. I don't know. It costs a lot to put those games on, too. I don't know. And to be honest, I don't really care. It's not my money. I care, but I don't care. Let them sort it out. Like, for one, Amar Doman said on this show, he doesn't want a team in Kelowna. Full stop. He's like, the Lions are BC's team. But he also liked my post on this because he gets it. He gets it.
Yep.
Namaste. He likes the talk. These other guys, that's why, and you know this because you had a front row seat, where I fell out of favor with the guys, the old staunch white guys that run the league, is that I don't play their game. I'm not their mouthpiece, and it pisses them off. So this one guy that said this to me, he goes, the Riders' budget's $50 million. You can't hit that in Kelowna. There's no way that it'll ever. I don't care. I don't believe the Riders' numbers. Just so you know, I know you talked about it, and as did Stackhouse in your weekend columns, the $157,000 loss. I don't care about that either. I care about the games and generating hype. That's what I do. So, period. That's the point. But those guys, it's like they want the hype, but they want it all positive. And what's negative about talking about Kelowna having an expansion team?
Right. And you're talking about positive hype. And, the Riders put out a lot of positive hype with their new white jersey that they wore on Friday night. What a colossal thud that was. Because I haven't seen one person, and I was getting texts during the game, are you here? No, I'm not. Why? Does it look as bad on TV as it does here? Yes. And I know that, some people in the column this week, they went after, for the jerseys. Those things, what are we thinking when we do that? Like
sell.
Ka-ching,
ka-ching.
Dustin Wilson took a little bit of it at the Riders when he saw the jersey, and Craig Reynolds went and gave him a jersey or whatever. But I'm guessing that Dustin Nielsen and Luke Wilson, after that game was over, were just uttering four-letter words because you could not tell who had the football. And you could tell in a couple of touchdowns that the Riders scored that Dustin had no idea who had the football.
Well, let's talk about the PA announcer who texted me and was about to have a nervous breakdown. And you and I both know who that is. I think it was like this is the second game he's ever done. It's like, do they consult with the... Dude, you're bringing up stuff that I talked about 25 years ago. Like, for instance, do you remember when the CFL came out with those third jerseys? Like, for instance, the Argos had a huge A on the chest. And I think the Bombers had a big W.
Those,
remember that? Right. Yeah. The first time I saw him, I'm like, this isn't hockey. Like for instance, I was calling a game against the Argo. Guy turns to make a catch in the end zone. Do you think I could see who it was? There's a big A on his chest. But I don't know who that is. Nor did Mike Hogan. So by the way, that's the thing. For this CFL forefather to say with me, they're going to do an economic impact study on Kelowna and find out that it cannot sustain it. I don't care. They just went and changed the field size and didn't bother to consult with any of the teams or the facilities. So I'm not totally confident that they would have to do an economic impact study of putting a team there.
By the way, what would be the difference with an economic impact study in Kelowna and Halifax? Because they want a team in Halifax so bad. Is Halifax really different?
I think there would be a big difference. I think there would be a big difference because there's 750,000 in the region around Halifax. But I think
there's 500,000 around the region around Kelowna.
That's a big difference between 500,000 and 750,000. There's a big difference. But anyways, it's all I know. Oh, we're going to go to a break here. Oh, how about that? We'll be right back with a Scruff Dog here on the RP Show.
Ultimate Fan Zone, taking our show on the road coast to coast. Shop online, ultimatefanzone.ca. Slick, user-friendly. We built this site for the die-hard sports fans. Jerseys, hats, team apparel, offering officially licensed fan gear from the best lines in sports. Nike, New Era, Adidas, Fanatics. Game day ready to your door. Now, just a click away. ultimatefanzone.ca or check us out on Facebook and Instagram. UFZ Downtown Moose Jaw, home of everything authentic.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Dean, Brody, and the Wreck Loss teaming up for the Hometown Heroes Tour.
If there's work, you know I'm gonna work.
Live at Temple Garden Center, November 9th.
Can't blame nobody else.
of Canada's biggest country acts. One stage, one unforgettable night on the Hometown Heroes Tour. Tickets on sale now at the Temple Garden Center box office or online at saskpix.ca.
Across America, Country Thunder Music Festivals bring you the biggest superstars. See unforgettable performances by Zach Top, Lainey Wilson, Brooks and Dunn, Keith Urban, Riley Green, the Red Clay Strays, Kane Brown, Gavin Adcock, and so many more. Join the party under the desert sky in Arizona, on the sandy shores of the Gulf in Florida, or in gorgeous Wisconsin Lake Country. It's the music you love, live and loud. Tickets, hotel, and camping info available at countrythunder.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Producer Corey should be in this chair today. He's on fire. I wish y'all could hear what he's saying. Scruffy's with me. He's on fire, too. Noni, the text line's on fire for Western Dodge. Noni writes in from Calgary. She says, "Hi, Rod. Despite not being a fan of soccer, it was impossible to not get caught up in the excitement of it. Even if they go no further, they should be very proud. And Jesse Marsh is a great coach." Here's another one. David, number 2 in Winnipeg, says, "Good morning, Rod. Marsh has nothing to apologize about. He is passionate about his team and players. I love the fact he's all in for Canada." It's like John Herdman. Remember at the Olympics when he goes, "We're going to go F Croatia." I want to play for these guys. They're coaches. You guys are a bunch of freaking heroes. Instead of being beaten down, I think that people that are bitching about him are a bunch of losers. Quite now that I think about it, I love these guys, Mitch.
I love them too. And as I said, Roddy, I had no problems with what he said. And I just think a lot of people are pouncing on this because of Terry Fox's death when he said it. Now, am I going to say that the Canadian soccer players compared to Terry Fox are more important? Absolutely not. Because Terry Fox might be the greatest athlete that Canada's ever produced. When you consider what he did on one leg.
Of course. Jesse Marsh isn't thinking about Terry Fox.
If John
Get a
Cooper
life.
had said that, had Canada won gold in Milan, nobody would have said a thing about it.
Okay, we're putting that to bed. Thank you. We all love Jesse Marsh, even though he wears jeans. I could never do that.
Yes,
Chris
you could.
Maybe I could. Chris and Vernon writes, "Curtis Hunt doesn't even own jeans." Chris in Vernon, BC writes in and says, "The temporary stadium in Kelowna looks like it will be a great atmosphere. Fans will feel very close." And okay, so let's talk about it. Blue Jays, I saw somebody say that they're unwatchable. Right now, I'm not even – they got swept. Vladdy hasn't homered at home all year. This is not a depressing show today. Let's talk about the games in the CFL Week 4.
You and I have as many homers at Rogers Center this year as Vladdy.
Right. Scruffy went 2-2 in his picks. I went 1-3, and I could be that guy and say, I wrote it down. I picked Edmonton when we talked about this earlier. But no, I can't say that. I picked Winnipeg on the day of the game. So Edmonton beat Winnipeg 23-18. Hang on. Toronto beat Sask 40-34. Calgary beat BC 41-33. And Montreal beat Ottawa 37-35. Yes.
Mea culpa here. Last week I went 4-0. Everything was great. This week 1-3 straight up. Thank you, Khalil Pimpleton, because I was 0-4 against the spread. Thank you much, Khalil Pimpleton.
Okay. Hell of a game, though. Hell of a game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it became a hell of a game.
All of a sudden learned to play football, because the second half, that was outstanding. By the way, are CFL offenses just better or defense is worse this year?
Well, they statistically are better. The question is why, which reminds me, since I have you here, and I'll debate this more after the break, but I have it written down in my script. I love the way this was written. The winless BC Lions have sacked special teams coordinator Corey McDermott. That's an old school headline, Mitch. The CFL club, last in the West at 0-3, made the announcement Sunday, less than 24 hours after dropping a 41-33 decision to the Calgary Stampeders at Kelowna's Apple Bowl. Talking to football people this morning, or last night too, they're like, sure, he's the problem. They all know. Somebody had to walk the plank. It's the way that it is. But where would you go and begin fixing the BC Lions?
I've looked at their defensive backs coach, and I don't know who that is because obviously I didn't know where we were going to go on this, so I didn't do some homework.
It's all good.
But their DBs coach, I'd send him into the sun. But there's a lot of DB coaches that you might want to send in the sun right now because holy crap are there some bad secondaries in the CFL. And that includes the one here that got torn apart by Chad Kelly. Who, by the way, Mr. Pedersen, might be the best CFL through 3 weeks of the season. And not Davis Alexander, as you put down, or Justin Rankin, as I put down.
I've been doing this a really long time, and people still aren't on my game. I just throw things out to generate discussion. They haven't figured it out yet, and they lose their ever-picking minds. You weren't on the air with me last week when it was Friday. I posted the meme after reading the game notes that Chad Kelly is 3-0 against Sask. Did you see the comments on Facebook on that? Rider fans lost their minds. They're swearing at me.
It's so easy to do that. It's so easy.
Why do I get such enjoyment? And I know you do too.
Fun. It's fun almost to do it. And there are so many that get so upset.
They were swearing at me. Why would you post this? It's fact, lady.
There are some out there that actually believe that just because you were born in the 306, that you have to be a fan of the football team. And sorry, as I've said many, many times, I want to see the team do well. And when you and I were covering that team, we obviously got to know several players very well. And you want to see them do well. But I'm sorry, just because I'm a member of the media, and it's more so now than it was back in our day, I'm not waving the flag like they are now.
Well,
you're not going
we don't have to
across the Albert Street Bridge waving the flag because that's never the way it was supposed to be.
Twice that's come up today. You're the second. Albert Street Bridge and Rider Pride. So anyways, by the way, the comments are great. For Ken in Mississauga writes in, says maybe Amar Dolman could also own a team in Kelowna. Maybe that's why he liked my post. I don't think anybody would have a problem with an owner owning two. Well, we've had it before in the CFL with David Brady, but that was an emergency.
Before, haven't we?
Right. We have. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that, especially when he's a great owner. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here kind of debating on what I...
And he's doing what he can to keep the BC Lions relevant in his home province. And then you've got MLSE that couldn't give a rat's ass about the Toronto Argonauts because they send them to Regina for a home game. They send them to Ottawa for a home game. You couldn't do it Guelph or Windsor or London. You couldn't have sent the Argos there? Of course not, MLSE. Because you don't care about the Argos.
No, I know, and it's funny because I also put that in my column. I said, I love Argo fan. They love my post. I don't know if there's millions of them, but there are thousands of them. and they don't get a lot of coverage. So they've always been real good to me, and probably you too, because we love the league. We cover the league. They engage with our stuff, and that's what we ask for. Mitch and I aren't going to cheer for the Riders, and they are never going to get that. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says Rider fans get upset when Glenn Suter compliments an opposing team player. Listen, we don't need to go down that road. Oh, by the way, Carlos in Indiana says, so which 0-3 team is in more trouble, BC or Ottawa? The answer is Ottawa, because BC's not supposed to be 0-3. Everybody thought that Ottawa would be 0-3. So I guess before you go, and we'll reconvene this tomorrow, but Nathan Rourke threw for 483 the other day. He'll be fine. They don't have a quarterback problem. They only had 38 rushing yards. Like, this ain't Madden. They got a lot of problems in BC, but not as many problems as Ottawa.
No, and there's a lot of teams that are throwing for big yards, but they're not getting victories. And, I thought Friday night, when you look at the Rider game, Trevor Harris had another big night. That Conley kid looked great running the football, but they stopped doing it. And at some point, and it'll happen as the weather gets colder, but at some point, guys like Brady Oliveira and A.J. Willett, the kid in Montreal, Scott, they'll get more touches of the football, but maybe that's why the secondaries look so bad, is because it's one-dimensional football right now.
Oh, right. I know we're going to be breaking here right away, but did somebody say that Milt Stegall said the entire BC Lions secondary should be cut? Like, I don't have the sound up on the games, and when it's halftime or intermission, it's not a TSN thing. Any game, I flip over to Forensic Files because it runs 24/7. It's my favorite show. But apparently Milt said the entire secondary should be cut in BC. You said you'd fire the DB coach, and I don't know who that is either.
I missed that, but I said that the Okanagan
breaking
Sun
right
might
away.
have better defensive backs than the BC Lions. And I had some people from Kelowna send me a response back saying, please don't insult the Sun.
Okay. Scruffy, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Great job. We'll be right back.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
I'm just one man. I don't think I'm going to be able to change this. Although maybe producer Corey and I can. We're coming out of the weekend where Canada's historically not only got their first wins at the World Cup in the group stage, but won their first playoff game. I'm sorry, I got to use the North American terms. It's what's I'm more comfortable with. And Canada's mad that the head coach of Team Canada, Jesse Marsh, called his team heroes. Terry Fox is a hero, not these bunch of no-names. Fill in the blank, producer. Canadians are upset today because blank. It's always something. It's always something. We all love Terry Fox, okay? Just enjoy the soccer. Get off the coach's ass. The text line, 902-518-3033. It's for Western Dodge. Drive with confidence. Shop Western Dodge. Financing, selection, and service you can count on. 902-518-3033. Vintage Sasko writes in and says, "Hi, Uncle Rod and Mitch. It's a damn shame Fred Penner didn't announce a Winnipeg Jets draft pick. Also, go Canada. This upcoming Saturday's upset will be way bigger than the overrated Miracle on Ice." Hot take, baby. Signed, Sasko. Yeah, they're getting into it, and the viewers earlier that were watching from Vancouver and Toronto and Edmonton, they're like, "It's not big where you guys are?" No. I don't know if it ever will be, but let's just enjoy the ride. Kirk writes in from aforementioned Toronto on the Western Dodge text line. He says, "Are the Argonauts road warriors? If not for giving up a fourth quarter lead in Montreal, they would be." I see some have the Argos at the top of the power rankings today. I haven't stopped to think about it just yet. Wayne's watching in Victoria, BC, and says, "Good morning, Rod and Scruffy. The CFL games this year are turning out to be quite exciting." And he says, "Well done, Scruffy, with the don't insult the Okanagan Sun defensive backs. LOL." Okay. And Wayne also says, "Nobody wants to hear it, but Chad Kelly's probably the best quarterback right now, except for his interceptions." It is what it is. Kind of somewhat sadly. Oh, hang on. Somewhat sadly, I didn't see any of the game Friday because I was broadcasting baseball here, and people were texting me during the game, and I'm like, I can't put my phone away. Don't bother me. I'm be a disservice to the people that were paying me to be not paying attention to the task that I had on my mind. Anyways, so I didn't see those jerseys, and I don't really care about those jerseys. I knew that they would be a nightmare from the second they were unveiled. White jerseys with white numbers. Who thought this was a good idea? David, number 2 in Winnipeg, writes in, and I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree here, but he says, "Rod's admitting to clickbait." I didn't say that it's clickbait. I said I start discussions. There's a really big difference. And if you want to get mad about it or turn off the show, please do. But I'll say it again. I said that Kelowna should have an expansion team. people lost their minds, both figuratively and literally. And there was, back in the day, CFL big shots, because they don't have a role with the league now, getting in my face about how this is reckless. It's never going to happen. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just starting a discussion. So if you want to call that clickbait, David number 2, whatever, it was a fun debate. It was a fun discussion. That's what I do. Saying last night that Davis Alexander, I put on our Facebook page, who doesn't think this guy's the best player in the league? It's getting the discussion going. If you have a problem on that, then I guess we can't be friends. I don't really care what you think about it. And David also says that regarding CFL expansion, I think Quebec City would be an awesome choice. Balance out West versus East and an instant rivalry versus Montreal. Yeah, I went probably too far down that road, farther than I want to go. It's probably none of it's going to happen. So 902-518-3033. Bill writes in, where the hell is he? From Brampton. Good morning, crew. The Argo game was great. Okay, that's what I searched for. Yeah. Actually, if you really want to stop for a second and think about it, we don't have a runaway team in the CFL. Running away. I don't think we have doormats yet. I think BC's going to figure it out. I don't know if Ottawa will. It's been a great start to the season, is kind of what I'm trying to say. Through 4 weeks. Let's just enjoy that. 902-518-3033. I didn't get through all the topics, and you tell me if I've missed something. Here's the Canadian sports topics. Point 1, World Cup. To be honest, my sponsor, Bob, my 12-step sponsor, his nickname's Krusty. I just talked to him this morning. He loves that I actually can have a soccer conversation with him now. He's been in it for years. And we've never been able to have the conversation because I never cared. Now we're actually able to talk about it. So that's cool. I haven't even got to the USA thing. You're going to want to tune in off the top of hour 2. Because when I look at the difference between the two countries, it's not even close. They're both great. Let me make that clear. I've made a home in both Canada and the U.S. But as far as the people go and the mentality goes, I can see why the countries don't get along. I can see why. Because they look at things totally differently. So anyways, number 1, World Cup. Number 2, NHL draft, which, frankly, we talked about that a little bit. We have not talked about any news at all. There is breaking news today. Brendan Gallagher is going from Montreal to Vancouver via trade. I'm not sure if the details have been worked out yet. Brendan Gallagher, Montreal to Vancouver. That's a good thing for Vancouver, even though Brendan Gallagher's best days are way behind him. He was on Team Canada when I broadcast the games back in 2012. But for a team with a distinct culture problem, Brendan Gallagher will help that. It really sucks that the guy was there through some bad years. I mean, he went to a Stanley Cup final with Montreal too, but he's not part of moving forward. And that sucks for him, but he's going home. It's actually a good day. And then free agency hits on Wednesday in the NHL, and God knows in this country there'll be enough talk about that everywhere. We didn't bring this up with Mitch because we didn't have time, but what I'm centering on is where Sergei Bobrovsky goes, and I think it's going to be Toronto. I just hope for the best. And it's funny because fans are fans wherever you go. They've not turned on Sergei Bobrovsky, but they've moved on from Sergei Bobrovsky already in South Florida. And fans are like, we wish Bob the best, except for when he comes back here. And I'm like, no, I wish him the best when he comes back here. But that's just me. But fans will be fans. 1 World Cup, 2 NHL, 3 CFL Week 4, the firing of Corey McDermott. Point 4 of the Quick Six show topics. Not even the return of Bo Bichette can conceal the recent struggles of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays. The Jays will enter their 3-game set against Bichette and the Mets at Rogers Center today after being swept 4 straight by the Rangers to extend Toronto's losing streak to 6 outings, which matches a season-worst slide. Guerrero, who is yet to homer at home in 2026, went 0 for 9 in the final 2 games of the series. So just hang on for a sec. That's why, somebody said to me, how are you able to work across all of the leagues in the mental health space? I said, because the concept of the sports are all the same. Some have a bat, some have a stick, some have a ball, but the mentality is all the same. So We all know Vladdy is an all-star. We know Vladdy is the highest paid Blue Jay of all time. We talked about this last week with Scott Belford from the Walk-Off podcast. It's all between his ears. Eventually, he's going to figure it out. I don't know when that's going to be, but it's very similar with Nathan Rourke in BC. We've seen him at the top of his game, and he's not at the bottom of his game now. I'm not comparing him to Vladdy per se, other than to say we know Nathan Rourke can get back to top flight level. I think that team can. They'll be fine. In Ottawa, I'm not sure we've seen Jake Maier be any better than he is right now. So when you're asking who's in worse position, 2-0-3 teams, BC or Ottawa, I would say it's by far Ottawa, because I'm not sure their quarterback can be any better or that team. BC can be a lot better. Vladdy can be a lot better, but all the glare is on him. And I don't know if he's going to turn it around this year or not, but eventually he's going to. He's still the 6-time All-Star. Did he hit 7 last year? That's my TED Talk on that. Oh, my God. And don't even get me started. These teams, well, a lot of them, some have really good mental strength coaches and psychiatrists working for the sports psychologists, and some have some really bad ones. And that's when my phone starts ringing. What do we got here? Canada Mississauga writes, and he says, the DQ sign in behind makes me want a blizzard, right? You're welcome, Dairy Queen. I've only had 3 this summer. There's a reason for that. I can't divulge why. I would like to have had more, but I've only had 3. I could do 1 a day, frankly, but my advisor, Lisa, says no. And it's funny talking about the difference between the two countries. I was talking to her yesterday. Was in South Beach yesterday. And she's like, how long have you been gone? I said a month. When are you coming back? I said a couple more months. She's like, it feels like you've been gone 6 months. I'm like, I know, right? But I'm having a blast. So, which I am. We're good. The same Canada Mississauga says, I wish BC would be better for Amar Doman. Oh, I think that they will be. I said to their staff when I was hanging out with them at their hotel here a couple of weeks ago, this team will win under this guy. Because one of the staff, I said, how long have you been with the team? And he was like, since 2014. I said, well, you don't have a ring yet. You'll get a ring by the time Amar's done. Don't leave this team. He's like, I think so. They will win. Amar deserves better. But they're good people. It's a good franchise. I have faith that they will turn it around. By the way, that's it? Okay, we'll be right back with Hour 2. Hang on.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We
Reposition your brand where it belongs guy through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Definitely not trying to start a holy war today, but no promises, no promises. It's hour 2 of the RP Show. Rolling in and welcoming our viewers across Nevada on Silver State Sports. Been talking to folks from the Vegas teams over the past couple of days. They're enjoying the coverage, enjoying the shout-outs, and yeah, it's a great place to be. As we broadcast from the Golden Ticket Sports Center, I will tell you that coming up for Prairie Panels, Mike Richards, the inimitable Mike Richards, and it's going to be fantastic. Iconic sports talk host. He's on the Mount Rushmore of Canadian sports talk hosts, and he's going to be with us in the next segment. Everybody loves him. So let's get down to business. Why would Rod be starting a holy war? I'll tell you in a second. But first, score a touchdown in the Caribbean. Join Canadian Football League legend Adam Bighill and current Saskatchewan Roughriders linebacker Jared Thurman on a 7-day cruise departing from Fort Lauderdale on February 20th, 2027. A once-in-a-lifetime experience for CFL fans. Prices from $18.99. Cruise only. Contact Neil Chark at Uniglobe Carefree Travel. Neil at uniglobecarefree.ca. Why am I opening the show with that? Because it's a brand new week, and they bring you this, the warm-up, and the quick 6 show topics. So, listen, everybody's got a different big story. I feel like Phil Mickelson has his own really big story today, and we'll get to that in the sports update. But it doesn't pertain to us. So I've got a U.S. look and a Canadian look at the World Cup because, let's be honest, it's the big story for a lot of people. So number 1, and then 1A will be the Canadian, 1B will be the U.S. Fans across Canada joyfully roared for their country after they beat South Africa 1-0 in a nail-biting FIFA World Cup knockout stage game in Los Angeles on Sunday. Canadians at FIFA fan festivals in Toronto and Vancouver jumped in the air, danced and waved flags and hollered as Steven Estaco scored in the 2nd minute of second-half stoppage time, leading Canada to its first ever men's knockout stage win. Canadian coach Jesse Marsh gathered his players in a huddle afterwards and called them Canadian heroes. We can't just celebrate the fact that Canada's moving on to the round of 16, but half the country's pissed. They're not heroes. Terry Fox is a hero. The man who walked across Canada on one leg. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let me come back on that because I was saying last hour, here's the difference between the way Canadians and Canadian sports fans think versus Americans and American sports fans. And I'll come back, believe me, on the Jesse Darsh thing. But 1B, what the U.S. men's national team did, I got this from the USA Today this morning, Nancy Armour's column. What the U.S. men's national team did in the group stage is meaningless. It's the knockout rounds that will determine whether this World Cup was a success for the U.S. men's national team or if it fell short. The U.S. men's national team begins the knockout rounds Wednesday, July 1st against Bosnia and Herzegovina in Santa Clara. So let me just stop for a sec. I kind of get it, but I kind of don't. Canada's been on the world soccer map for a while, right? For at least since the last Olympics. And basketball too, but I digress. We're throwing parties, and everybody's going nuts because Canada got its first win in the group stage, period. And then they go to the round of 32, and they win there, and oh my God, the world's coming. U.S., you ain't done diddly squat yet. So just now the Americans are picking up and paying attention because we've reached the group stage, and they're going to be playing Bosnia-Herzegovina. If you didn't win at all, we're not talking to you. And I understand that Canada's not historically a soccer country, but really America hasn't been for that much longer. That's the difference. And we got a lot of things to get to here today, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about this the whole opening segment before Mike Richards joins us. And trust me, he's probably going to have a far more interesting take than I do. He always does. Entertaining at least. But, I mean, the text line's open at 902-518-3033. And, I love the Rod Squad, our daily viewers. It's what keeps us in business. But Wilf writes in from Steinbeck. Here's an example of how the Canadians are taking what Jesse Darsh, the head coach of the Canadian team, said. Hi, Rod. Heroes are not made on the pitch. They are made for deeds done off the pitch, etc. Did I say Darsh? I meant Marsh. Jesse Marsh. I don't even know the coach's name. And he was wearing jeans coaching the game yesterday. He wasn't talking to you. He was talking to his players and said, you guys are Canadian heroes. He's pumping them up. He's a really big reason why they've got this far. But, I wish I had my flags here. I left them in Florida, my Canadian flag, my U.S. flag. I was brought in to speak to the Royal Canadian Navy one time. And maybe the commanding officer is watching right now. He's a regular. Don. Navy Don. I call him Navy Don. And he said, just before I walked into the room full of naval officers, I said to him, I assume that you'd like me to talk about my decades in pro sports, that kind of thing. He's like, no. No, these naval officers are from all across the country. They don't care about that or the teams you were with. We want to hear about you. And I almost had a nervous, I'm not that interesting. I was going to get up there and talk about sports stories for an hour. And I said, I'm no hero. He goes, didn't say you were. Just brought you to talk to the men and women. Oh, okay. So I guess maybe it's a Canadian thing whereby the term hero is not loosely thrown around. That's all that I'm saying. Because the photo of Jack Hughes winning the Olympic gold medal at the Olympics in men's hockey, draped in the U.S. flag, I see that thing every single day, everywhere on the social media feeds that I follow across America. Hero, Jack Hughes. They don't have a problem with it. But in Canada, they're all pissed off. By the way, my second point is National Hockey League. So I guess my point is World Cup, can you just enjoy the ride? Because again, Jesse Marsh, the head coach for Team Canada, was talking to his players, not to Canadians. But of course, and for the viewer, because from what I understand, our viewers across Nevada do kind of dig the Canadian sports thing. That's what makes this show different. They're like, Paul Henderson, Sidney Crosby. Those are Canadian sports heroes, not this bunch of guys we just didn't even know their names until last month. Just enjoy the games. Beep, 902-518-3033. Ken's watching in Mississauga, Ontario. Paul Henderson is a hero. Did everything I say just... 902-518-3033. There was breaking news from the National Hockey League today. The Montreal Canadiens trading their longtime captain, which he's not the captain anymore, but Brendan Gallagher, to the Vancouver Canucks. I just saw that this morning on the Instagram account Puck Empire, and it said details to follow. And then we went to air, so I haven't seen what the details are. Scott in Vancouver has helped us out and said that it's the much-traveled future considerations. By the way, Point two is National Hockey League. Did I blow the horn here on the warm-up brought to you by our friends at Uniglobe Carefree Travel, the official travel partner of the Rod Pedersen Show and the CFL's BC Lions. Point two is NHL, and I guess we're done with the draft. There's fans of every team watching right now. So what I'm getting a kick out of is the developmental leagues are fighting over how many of their players were picked. The Western Hockey League, I can't even remember the name. They're saying a record number of Western Hockey League players went in the top 10. And College Hockey Inc. emailing me saying, Rod, 109 current or former NCAA players were selected this year, the most since the NHL went to the current draft in 2005. What I will say, this is like serious nerddom, and the fans don't really care. But what I will say is the number one pick, Gavin McKenna, belongs to both the Western Hockey League and Penn State, NCAA, and they are including him in both numbers. And I don't know how long that will continue, and most people don't care. What they do care more about is our poll question today for Country Thunder, the biggest party of the summer, is coming to Craven, Saskatchewan, July 9th to the 12th, featuring Lainey Wilson, Creed, and the RP show. You're all watching the draft. Please tell me you were watching the draft, because I was. The draft's always been very special to those of us traditionalists. You can call us staunch old white guys if you want to. I am one. I don't think that's going to get me canceled. But it was a little strange when Gary Bettman said to announce the first, and I'm paraphrasing, the commissioner of the NHL saying, to announce the first pick, we have a big fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs to help us out. And they shine the spotlight on Justin Bieber, who's wearing a baggy tracksuit, jumpsuit. That's not the way it's been. And to be honest, if he had come to the stage somewhat respectfully and just stood at the microphone and said, Justin Bieber here on behalf of the Toronto Maple Leafs, we're proud to select from Penn State forward Gavin McKenna, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. But I'm hoping you were watching, because he just grabbed the microphone from Gary Bettman and just said, yeah, Gavin, you want to come play for us? To me, it largely ruined the moment. So I'm stuck in that spot in life between going with the flow, getting with it, and yelling at clouds. And I haven't stuck in one spot. I go back and forth every day. So the poll question is, did you have a problem with Justin Bieber announcing the number one pick? 70% of our respondents saying, yeah, they did. They had a problem with it. And we can sit here and debate a lot of NHL things, but there's a lot of topics on the table here, like a good buffet. I often say we're the Golden Corral of sports, a little bit of something for everybody. What I have written down here in all caps is Bob to Toronto, but I feel like today's not the day. I might get into it with Mike Richards when he joins us next for Prairie Panels. Sergei Bobrovsky at 38, going to be the number one goalie in Toronto. We don't know that. That's the speculation, but free agency opens on Wednesday, and yeah, down in South Florida, we've already said our goodbyes to Bob. We've accepted it. And again, Brendan Gallagher traded today from the Montreal Canadiens to the Vancouver Canucks. There's a lot going on. Our picks, we do them every week. And let me think about this. For the NFL fans, so that's all of America and NFL fans in Canada, I have a topic coming up on that for a sec. So just get ready. I know that all perked you up, including you, Carlos, in Indiana. But our picks, we do them once a week for the Canadian Football League games. They're brought to you by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon, Pump Jack's Cathedral and Pump Jack's Weyburn. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. That's where I go every time that I'm in the city for lunch, is there, Pump Jack's. I went 1 for 3 in my picks in week 4 in the CFL. Scruffy went 2-2. So, at least USA Today admitted it. I was mentioning earlier that I read the top of Nancy Armour's column. I don't really care for her writing or her attitude on sports, but that was good. She was like, nothing USA's done yet at the World Cup means anything till now. I respected that. So as I'm sifting through the USA Today, because I really enjoy it, and I've been a subscriber for 30 years or more, there was an article in there about the NFL. And they said, in this time before training camp is the time for NFL training camps for imaginations to go wild. Point 3 is football, if you haven't noticed by now. And it said, here's one thing to think about. Which teams in the NFL in 2026 are going to make the biggest jump from non-playoff teams or the very bottom of the barrel to at least being in the playoffs and maybe challenging to win their division? I'm not sure if Mike Richards is logged in yet, but I want you to think about this, Mike, too. I would like his opinions on everything. But this is who they had, USA Today, for teams poised to make the biggest jump. And some of them I didn't agree with at all. And some I thought were right on. There's 6 teams they named in order. They think the New Orleans Saints are going to make the biggest jump. I'm like, why would you think that? Last I checked, they don't even have a quarterback. But they said they won 4 of their last 5 games. Kellen Moore, their head coach, former Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator, is doing great things in New Orleans. They think the Saints are going to make the biggest jump this year. Number 2, the Detroit Lions, which to me isn't really a jump. They're like, they went from up here to down here. If they came up just a little bit, that wouldn't be a surprise, I wouldn't think. But it was a major step back last year for the Detroit Lions. But they've got them at number 2. I just think if they made the playoffs this year, who would really be surprised? Although Zig Fracassi from NFL Radio was on the show a couple weeks ago and said that is the toughest division in the NFL. So maybe it would be. Point 3, they have the G-Men. Are you watching, Chris, from the Bronx? He's the biggest New York Giants fan I know, and I know a lot. The Blue New York Giants picked to be number 3 on teams poised to make a jump. And the talent is there. John Harbaugh, they feel, is just a missing piece. That's tantalizing to think about. Number 4, the Tennessee Titans. And when I read that, I thought we need to submit the writer for a drug test. This is not Nancy Armour, the columnist. I didn't even write the guy's name down. I didn't recognize his name. For the Tennessee Titans. They're right. Cam Ward has another year of experience under his belt, but still going to be running for his life and has nobody to throw to. Last I checked. Number 5, the New York Jets. And I feel like we don't need to go any further than that. And number 6, the Las Vegas Raiders. 6, as we air in Nevada on Silver State Sports. And I'm like, I would like to have put Vegas way up. Listen, it doesn't take, not going to take a lot of wins to say a significant improvement for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now you got Kirk Cousins. And now you got Fernando Mendoza. And let's not call it a circus. Let's say the emerging story of who's going to be their quarterback this year. And again, they finished 32nd, so anything will be better. And they've got him number 6. Who do you think? Do you agree with those top 6? Or is there somebody I haven't even thought of? Jeremy from what's up, Producer Corey? What do we got? Producer 15? Okay. I was going to say Jeremy from Winnipeg had the Dallas Cowboys picked to make the playoffs, and I'm like, speaking of drug.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea. But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, well, this is going to be fantastic. Mike Richards, brought to you by Prairie Panels. Are you building a shop, barn, rink, or commercial space? Prairie Panels provides high-quality insulated wall and roof panels designed for durability and energy efficiency. Check them out at prairiepanels.ca. Okay, Mike, now that you know full on that 40% of our audience is watching in the U.S., maybe more, just keep that in mind. World Cup, Stanley Cup, well, not that. NHL draft, other, fill in the blank. Canadians are upset today because blank. Are you following the story?
Canadians are always mad. Just talk to a CFL fan. They should all be wearing diapers. I've never seen a crankier, more the almost what's it called, the complaining, the consternating football league, the crying football league. It's like they're changing the whole game. They're making everything terrible. I'm gonna cancel my season tickets. Do it, because I couldn't stand talking to these people anymore. No. I can't take it, Rod. I can't take them. And I'm a CFL.
No, I can't
since
either.
1971. 1971, I've been going to games.
But it's not just that. I'm so glad you're wearing the Canadian shirt, because I'm saying that we talk about the big story every day, and it's the World Cup. And I'm just laughing because in the U.S., the media is saying, you guys haven't done shit. Forget about the group stage, right? That's in America. In Canada, they're throwing parties. Canada's winning, and people are mad that the coach had the audacity, Jesse Marsh, to call his players heroes. They're not Terry Fox. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, but let me say this though too. So 2001, I was at another sports radio station attempt in Toronto called The Team 1050, and I worked with Paul Romanek, so it's myself and Romy. We did the show, and I was still co-hosting a lot back in those days. Well, this is the first time I'd ever seen Proline. I'd seen other guys do it. The filling out the little things at a 7-Eleven or the corner store, and I just think, what a bunch of losers. Look at these
sports betting.
Losers.
Sports betting.
Yeah, sports betting. And then one time I bet on soccer. I knew nothing about soccer. It's 2001, and if you had told me any league, if you said the Premiership, I wouldn't have known what you're talking about. As most people of our age group didn't understand. We didn't grow up with it. It wasn't. If you'd said, "Hey, the World Cup's on," and I'd say, "I don't know who's winning, the world." No, we didn't understand. We weren't a soccer nation. You fast forward to 2026 now, and I follow soccer pretty as I do for a lot of sports, but all leagues, all countries. I'm pretty well versed in who has what on each team. The one thing that I did not count on, and I'm being very, very honest about this, as I look at this World Cup, now this is North America, I'm not commenting when it's been in other countries and other places. I am just saying that watching the games, watching the spectators, the fans, and the cities all across North America, this might be one of the greatest sporting / cultural moments I've ever seen, Rod. I never would have thought that, but I'm seeing people cheer for the countries. I'm seeing the countries that meet each other in the parking lot and in the bars and downtown, hugging each other, dancing, laughing, smiling. And for the first time in a long time, the world looks happy. This, to me, outshines the Olympics. That's right. I'm saying this event right now supersedes anything I've seen in any Olympics. Why? Because you can be in London or Paris or Seoul or wherever it happens to be. But this has an entire continent where you see people from Mexico dancing with people from Japan. Well, if you had that on FanDuel, you were a big winner because I did not see that one coming. And it's just a joy to see such passion without the stupidity. Without the anger, without the, okay, here comes a fan base and they're going to burn a building down. They're going to turn over a police car. Look, I'm not saying it's going to be without any shenanigans whatsoever, but to see the way these cities have hosted the entire world, and I mean all the cities have done a beautiful job, regardless of who's going to win or how far Canada can actually go in terms of a sporting event as it pertains to humanity. This is one of the greatest things I have ever seen, bar none.
Yeah, and you had no idea what I was going to bring up today. You were ready to go, but that's Mike Richards for you, everybody. And I'm talking to my folks, or not my people in South Florida. They're going off. They're loving it so much, hosting the world down there in South Florida. And then my sponsor, Bob, was saying today to see 70,000 people show up in L.A. for a game that didn't even feature America. It was Canada versus South Africa. Like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. I've never really quite seen anything like it because let's face it, most of the sports that we talk about. So let's talk about the U.S. So, when you go to a certain state, you better be sure what flag you're going to put on your car. You don't want to be going in an area where they're Auburn fans and you got a Crimson Tide flag on your car. This is going to be a bad day for you. That it exists all over, whether you're an SEC person, whether you're going to be Big Ten, whether. It does matter because generations of this thing, of almost this anger, right? You don't like those people. And someone from Edmonton goes into Calgary and they wear their jersey, like there is a potential for something bad happening. Like it sickens me. I think we've missed the point of the enjoyment of sports. We've completely missed it because we put so much on everything else that isn't sport. We are so politically tied to every single. I mean, look, you look at the Olympics. When you look at, the Nations Cup, some of these things that got into the politics of what we're talking about in our society, and I hate it. I'm sick. You go to a dinner party.
Yeah, I don't like it.
You start. I just want to talk about a sport. You want to talk about football. If you want to talk about the draft, whatever you want to talk about, I'm with it. But once you start arguing with people or people start arguing about politics, I'm just done with it. I never was a very political person to begin with. I never have been. I'm respectful of other people's what they believe, whether it's politics or religion. I just sort of, you hear them out and then quickly change the subjects to something else. But this World Cup has, renewed my faith in the human beings and humanity a little bit. And I'm like, we need more of this, Rod. We need more of this.
I don't know who is responsible. I'll just say bravo to FIFA and the host companies, host community, whatever, host committees. But I will say that one last thing, because everybody's watching. You must have ran across Bob Marjanovic back in the day, the Moj.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how well you know him. Yeah. Well, you smiled immediately. So he was on this show last week. Voice of the BC Lions, Mr. Vancouver guy. I'm thinking, Mr. Big City, Mr. Multicultural. I'm like, Moj, what do you think about the World Cup? He's like, pain in the ass, be glad when it's over, taking over Vancouver. Well, they kicked him out of the stadium. They had to go play in Cologne. I'm like, at least you're honest, Moj. So not everybody, Mike, is on board, just so you know.
Right. Oh, well, traffic aside, I mean, I don't know because I'm not even bothering to attempt it. I'm not going down there. And people say, are you buying a ticket, Mike? Will you buy a ticket? No, I'm going to pay my mortgage this month. I'm not buying a ticket. Forget that.
That too. Well, there is that. Yeah. There is that. Hey, what else is on your sports radar? Because you can speak of a cornucopia of things. What else is on Mike Richards' mind today, sports-wise?
As you know, I just love football. I love it at all levels. You know,
Yeah,
again,
good.
When people want to argue about, what's better, what do you watch? I watch it all. If I'm driving somewhere in the middle of nowhere and I see a football practice, and this is where I get it from my dad. My dad was a longtime coach. I will pull over. I will take a look at their reps. I will watch a pit drill in some place that I don't know. I just love what football does. And that's why, in going off on a tangent at the beginning of the CFL, look at these games, though. What are you complaining about? But you really got to make sure you stay to that last possession.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Or you're up. And guess what? Here's the funny thing. When you're in sports radio and your sports media, as it got bigger, and obviously it came from the States, big stations like The Fan in New York City, there were a lot of consultants that I talked to along the way, and most of them American, actually most of them from Seattle. And they said, make sure, Mike, that you get into the hot take. You got to have a hot take. I'm like, I'm sorry, what does that mean? What are you talking about? Oh, well, you come out and you make these bold statements, or if the guy you're talking to, your co-host, then you disagree with him and you have like these little, I said, well, that's stupid. I mean, the hot take on that is you're stupid, because when you're trying to pretend either that you know it all or that you're really disagreeing with something that maybe you agree with, then that serves no purpose. So for people to come out and make hot takes, here's what you get. You get what they said about Brunson. I could play you 10 minutes of people saying what a disaster he was. What a terrible
Jalen
pick
Brunson?
it was. Jalen Brunson. What a disaster he'll be. He's not a number one. He's too small. He's too slow. What about now?
He's a champion. He's a champion. He's a champion.
That's exactly what he is. And so when people say, what do you make of the Leafs brain trust? I'm like, well, I'm going to give it a chance. I don't know. To bury something because you want to prove to your own ego that you're right, it makes me sick to my stomach. And invariably, even when they're wrong, they don't walk it back, or they don't admit it. They move on and brag about something else because they're idiots. So to me, I look at the complaining and the hot takes on the CFL and how terrible the Toronto Argonauts are going to be this year. Now, I can tell you personally, with my good friend Jim Barker, he invited me down to the stadium. This is before the World Cup. This is in the spring. I got a chance to meet Coach Miller. I got a chance to see some of the administration and look at what they're doing. And a guy like you bring Huff back, along with Jim Barker. And I'm like, you know what? This is going to have a chance. I know people don't want to hear about Toronto, but they were disparaged in front of everybody, humiliated. How terrible were they going to be? People, again, and this is me saying something positive about Edmonton. I am loving the fact that the Elks are competitive. And this Justin Rankin story, see, instead of getting angry about taking away the 55-yard line, like the 55, the goalposts, they're going to be moved. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? You can shut up to start with. Stop crying. Let's start with that one. It's the players, folks. It always has been. The reason the league has been so close to my heart is I got to see, some of my Chuck Eagley was a Chuck Eagley, Garney Henley. I grew up as a Ticats fan. These people were magical to me. Angela Mosca. I mean, I can go through all the. I just love the stories of where these guys come from. And Justin Rankin, I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, whoa. How is this guy doing this? How is he running? The guy looks unbelievable. And he comes from, Kent State. We recognize that because he's an Ohio guy. That's where he went to high school. But then he goes to Northwest Missouri State. Has anyone got a flag in their car with that one? Because I don't think you do.
Don't stop. Don't exclude where he was playing before he came to the Canadian Football League. Do you have that written down?
Well, no, I know he's an indoor football league guy. And
Vegas Nighthawks. Vegas Nighthawks. Just had his coach on Friday. Here, yeah.
Well, he is a great story. That's what makes the league great. Put the goalposts in the concession stands, folks. I don't care. I'm really not that upset about, did you see the clock, Mike? The clock. They're going to change the clock. Now they're standing on different sides. Guys, why do you watch it in the first place, for God's sakes? Tell me it's the players. At some point, you're going to bring up, oh, yeah, I think, whoever your favorite players to be, if you're in love with Nathan Rourke or Trevor Harris, that because you should be. because that's what moves the league. The league is the players. The players, that's the game. Not how wide the field is, not how deep the end zones are. Trust me, it's always like the first these things come out. Everyone starts to pack up their tents and or get the wagons in a circle, and then you watch like the first 3 or 4 games, and someone said, "Have they made any of the changes yet?" I said, "Yeah."
They have. Nobody noticed. Of course,
nobody noticed.
Nobody noticed.
Right. We love the game for the people that they are, and Justin Rankin is just another one of those great, great stories. I love it, and I love the fact. I hope we can get people back in that stadium because it is a very vital part of the health of the league to get people in those buildings. So I hope we see that next.
I'm glad you went down the football road, and I think you might have been fiddling around with producer Corey. Didn't hear what I was saying before you came on, but I said USA Today had the list of the top 6 teams in order that are going to make the biggest jump from non-playoffs to playoffs this year in the NFL. And in their mind, they are number 1, Saints, number 2, Lions, number 3, New York Jets, number 4, Tennessee Titans. I'm not saying I agree with this, Mike. That's just what they said. Right. Number 5, New York Jets. Number 6, Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I'm assuming you're a Bills fan growing from where you came up, but I shouldn't assume that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was one of those militant CFL guys, so I was always angry that people would watch the Buffalo Bills. Like that was not a thing for me. It's something that came obviously later on, but I do like the Bills, and Josh Allen to me is just a thing of beauty to watch. I love the city. And people are like, how can you love Buffalo? Because it's a working town. I love going to working towns. Went to Detroit. You go to Detroit. It's the same thing. It's pure. In its how open they are. I mean, it's hard on the sleeve kind of stuff, and I love that about both Buffalo but I think if we're looking at jumps, and I really hope this to be true. Well, when you have Mendoza, as long as you can protect him, which to me that's going to be the whole thing. I would love to see a competitive team in Las Vegas. As far as some of the other ones, like, am I really going to be surprised if Detroit? I mean, Detroit has the chassis of.
It's not a surprise, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know why that would be on the list at that point. That's kind of foolish. The Titans, they could be right on that one. The Titans they definitely could make a jump, but I think to me, when I look at what happened last year, some of those games that the Rams played, that was worth the price of admission. I mean, those were circus games, and so I think. With Stafford, I mean, I'm not sure how much more time on the clock, but apparently by the checkbook, they're not too afraid to put money in Stafford's pants. But I will be very curious to see how far the Rams go this year because, look, this is not groundbreaking. It's not a sexy pick necessarily, but I like the way they play football. The reasons that you like to watch football, it's engaging. If Puka is out there, then you're going to take your eyes off that guy? You can't. The guy's a machine. I love watching it, and I want to see how far the Rams can go this year because I wouldn't mind seeing that happen again.
Well, they are the Super Bowl betting favorite, number 1. We only got, I'm going to say 2 minutes on the high end here from the audience. Who is it? AJ says, what does Mike think of Mike Babcock being hired in Edmonton?
Well, I think you got to take a look at what I've done before, and I made some mistakes, a couple mistakes here and there. But I think as long as we all get along and understand, we got to be good pros, right? Because that's the big thing is you got to be a good pro. You got to get to practice on time. And unfortunately, Rod, I need to see your phone. If you wouldn't mind handing me. I don't like any of those pictures that I see. I think I don't know what a naughty nurse is, but I see you got a lot of that going on.
You didn't even know that was unprompted. That was very good.
Okay, so here's the other thing, and I talked to Pierre Maguire about this, and I said, sometimes it's about fit and timing. I'm not going to be shocked if Babs has some success with what he's got. Now, people say, well, is it going to be like a torch thing? Look, the window could be small for these guys. But if you're a franchise that wants to win for the now because of who's on your roster, I'm not going to be terribly surprised if the Babcock thing works. I might be the only guy talking this way. I'm just happy to think that where they are in the progression and the regression of what they've gone through, he might be the right guy. Don't be surprised if it's successful. Don't be surprised.
I look at some of the championships that have been won recently by teams, and this makes no sense. I mean, I don't trash Mike Babcock. He's been great to me, but I know everybody else hates him, whatever. But like James Dolan, anybody that knows that guy, the president of the Knicks, they hate that guy. And the Rangers. And they just won. So it seems to be in the air, Mike. It seems to be in the air.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen. You got to run. You look sensational. Nice tan. You've been by the pool a little bit this summer?
Yeah, a little bit. That's where I'm watching the soccer games, folks. Got to be honest. The price is right, and I don't have to deal with idiots. And let's face it, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, perfect. What do we got for time, Corey? Pardon me? Oh, 30 seconds. Okay, Mike, this has been great. Let's do it again. Happy summer, okay?
Anytime, pal. Anytime. You're my favorite.
You're mine. What a coinky-dink. The inimitable Mike Richards joining us from the Raw Mike Richards Show, everybody. We'll be coming right back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way here on Silver State Sports, YouTube Live, Game Plus streaming, and WQVZ.
Ready for a night of rock with the Gene Simmons Band.
You know your man is working hard. He's worth a team.
Saturday, December 5th, Temple Garden Center. The Gene Simmons Band performing your favorite classic hits. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca. Don't miss the Gene Simmons Band.
Get ready to make unforgettable memories with your little ones at Elmo's Got the Moves, the all-new Sesame Street live show coming to your neighborhood. Friday, December 4th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at SaskTix.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, I'm going to tell you something. It's happening. It's happening. I feel like I'm winning at life for two reasons. Number one, for the old-time country music fans. I did a post on Dwight Yoakam last week at the big Dwight Yoakam Country and Western show I was at. The Bellamy brothers liked it. Not a big deal. Liked my post. And then I just saw Las Vegas Raiders former offensive coordinator Mark Trestman just liked our post that we did last week from Mike Davis of the Vegas Nighthawks, talking about developing young men, but also winning championships with the Vegas Nighthawks of the major indoor football. Winning, not a big deal. Sports update. Okay, let me just rip this, because I never get to the sports update, and it is sponsored, by the way. I mean, Billy at Ultimate Fan Zone, we good, but he does sponsor it. I'm knocking things all over the place, out of my ear. Here we go. Well, breaking news for the National Hockey League. Brendan Gallagher has been traded. Thank you, Scott in Vancouver. You're correct, but I don't question you. Brendan Gallagher, the former captain of the Montreal Canadiens, has been traded to his hometown Vancouver Canucks. Going the other way, future considerations. My dad used to say, God, that guy, future considerations, he gets traded a lot. From the MLB, the Mets fired manager Carlos Mendoza in the midst of New York's last place campaign, replacing him with senior VP of player development Andy Green on an interim basis. The Angels fired GM Perry Minasian amid a 6-year tenure of perennially sub-500 play. By the way, Canadians aren't the only people that complain and whine. It's one thing I don't miss about South Florida right now is the whining of Mets fans. There's so many of them there, so it's nice missing that. And also their Nick bravado, New York Knicks bravado. Speaking of the NBA, just a few days after trading away franchise cornerstone LaMelo Ball, the Hornets dealt Miles Bridges and a second-round pick to the Phoenix Suns for Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, and a future first-rounder. I mentioned off the top about Phil Mickelson, and if you were watching then, you might have perked up and said, oh, what's Phil got up to? Phil Mickelson has withdrawn from next month's Open Championship in the wake of a detailed report by Scratch's Alan Shipnuck, which unearths numerous accusations of sexual misconduct and otherwise inappropriate behavior against the 6-time major champion. Earlier this month, Golf Digest reported that Mickelson was no longer a member of the Farms Golf Club outside San Diego following accusations of unwanted physical contact with a female employee. In fact, writes the reporter Shipnuck, Mickelson's unceremonious ending at the Farms seems to be part of a larger pattern. Unquote. So yeah, Phil's having a worse day than all of us. From the WNBA, the Mystics beat the Fire on Sunday, 124-123 in quadruple overtime in the second quad overtime game in WNBA history. Sports Update is brought to you by the Ultimate Fan Zone. Don't just watch the game, live it. Gear up at Ultimate Fan Zone today. Jerseys, cards, collectibles. Find it all at ultimatefanzone.ca. Now, where was I? I felt like I was getting into a story, and then I forgot. Yeah. So, AJ, which I believe your real name's Andrew, right, AJ? We'll just go with AJ. He's watching on streaming. He was the one that wanted Mike Richards' take on Mike Babcock being hired. And he just says, right on. What a great answer. Glad I think we all kind of could see this going that way. And I didn't want to we only had 2 minutes left when I answered the question, but he was mentioning earlier Mike with the hot takes, because this business has changed a lot, because he and I are both a couple of old dinosaurs. When he says I am his favorite, he's mine, and I'm not joking. Like, he used to do the morning show on Fan 960 Calgary, and I was the voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders for 20 years, hated rivals. So when we would go into Calgary, he would call me up and say, hey, you want to come into the studio for an hour? Let's do it up. Let's do a WWF thing. I'm like, oh, I'm in. I'd be there an hour early and just sit there and watch them work. And then for an hour, usually 7 to 8 or 8 till 9, we would just on the air, figuratively duke it out and talk noise. And oh my God, it was much listened to radio. In retrospect, it took me forever to understand why I wasn't that liked in Calgary, because it was because of that. I'm like, we were acting. We're taking a break. We'll be right back with overtime right after this.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. Okay, welcome back, everybody. This has been a fantastic start to the week, and I'm trying to find a time in my schedule. It will happen. Don't hold me to it, but we're going to go to Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary because they're such great longtime partners. They are now officially our longest-serving partner and sponsor of the RP Show and rodpedersen.com and all the wonderful things that we do. So thank you for that. Randy and Michelle, go in and check them out. You're missing hockey, aren't we all? An amusement park for hockey players. They're not playing hockey in here, unfortunately, but you can at Overtime Hockey Lanes. $20 an hour. They got the targets. They got the Zoni puck shooting machine. They got the license bar for the parents. Have I sold you yet? 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Which, by the way, we keep the party going outside show hours. Follow our Facebook page at The Rod Pedersen Show. Instagram, same thing, at The Rod Pedersen Show. Join us there where we keep the discussion going. Soccer is the big thing. It's the number one. It's not lasting for that much longer. And we all know that when and if Canada dies out, it'll be a fast. I don't know how far the U.S. is going to go. I can't follow two teams yet. But anyways, Navy Dawn. And Dawn, I'm assuming you were watching earlier when I gave you the shout out. Remember when you brought me in to talk to your naval officers? Remember that? That was a great day. To be honest, I was just thinking about that the other day, and now's not the time to bring up what I was thinking about. Maybe if we have more time at the end of this show, I will, because it was very moving. But Navy Don writes, and he says, when Canada scored the winning goal Sunday, I was at home by myself, so the dog and I yelped and screamed with joy. Bailey, the dog, had really no idea what was going on. None of us did. But there was like 10 minutes left in regulation time. I'm sorry, I have to use North American terms. I don't understand the European terms. I'd let you say 10 minutes left in regulation time. I'm like, oh, this is going to go to overtime. There's no way somebody's going to score now. Up, boop, bop. Canada scored. What? Woo! We won. We're moving on. Okay. And then the head coach, Jesse Marsh, calls his players heroes, and everybody's pissed off. Not everybody. Half of Canada mad. They're not Terry. I didn't see Terry Fox out there. That's a hero. What I was thinking about, Navy Don, was this. The chaplain of the Royal Canadian Navy, Jim Belfer, he and I had a one-on-one after my speech. We talked about closure in life. He's a chaplain, helps people at tough times. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was out for my long walk, and Jim said, Padre, as you called him. He goes, I don't know what closure is. I've never seen closure. Closure, as far as I'm concerned, is an illusion. People walk around waiting for closure, a death, a firing, a relationship ending, anything that falls under the tragic category. You're probably not going to get it. You need to learn to live with it. Jim and I sat and talked about that for a long time right there in the armories, so at the base. So thank you for that invite, Don. And as we often say, guys like me get way more out of it than the people in the crowd. Wayne in Victoria writes in, he says, as I've said before, I love me some Mike Richards. Well, it's hilarious because just before the show, producer Corey was saying that me and Mike are, can I say, two of the last broadcasters that still act like broadcasters. I don't want to out producer Corey, but he just said, we're broadcasters. There's people that do broadcasting, and then there's broadcasters. There's a difference. Arlen Bruce checks in. Great day, RP, NFL, CFL alum. He says, soccer is great. I enjoy every game and love seeing the different countries compete. My geography is outstanding now. FYI, the new commissioner has denied my son entry to the CFL. That is the tough one. Arlen Bruce the fourth. It's a, what should I say? Not an emerging story. We've been following this story from day one. His son's lighting it up in the major indoor football league with the Arizona Rattlers. Bet on games at Iowa and himself, and was banned from the NCAA, signed a contract in the CFL, then was voided by the head office. And twice, AB? Your son has met with the commissioner. I guess he got the final word. They're not allowing him. And I feel like we don't talk about it too much, but as soon as I heard that the Canadian Football League was not going to be welcoming Brendan Sorsby from Texas Tech to play because he's not going to be allowed in the NFL too, all I can say is it's a very tough time for young people. No second chances. Thank you, Jamie, for writing in and says, as a soccer youth coach, I can confirm what was said earlier in the show. At least in Regina, there is no civic pride to get behind our team. We have scheduled a game at the same time. We have a scheduled game at the same time as our next game. We need to do better. I would kind of suggest that we're getting there, but I don't know. The rest of the country is going off that Canada's advancing in the round to the round of 16. I mean, I'm getting into it, but Jamie, I don't know how long you've lived in that particular region, but people don't like change much. The minds don't open a whole lot. just the way that it is. Are you wearing green? No. What's wrong with you? It's just the way that it is. I mean, I'm used to it. 902-518-3033. I feel like we're going to be shutting it down for the day very soon. Scruffy's going to be back tomorrow. I will say this. The NFL chat sure got people going. It does not take much. It does not take much. But as I sat there reading the USA Today, and Ken, you wrote in and said, does the USA Today still offer print copies? They do, because I was looking in the airport in Fort Lauderdale just before I left to come up here. They do. Not as many as before. Go check out the website and subscribe. It looks exactly the same. David, number 2 from Winnipeg. This is the tough thing. What's up? We got to go. He says the CFL allowed Johnny Manziel. It's not a debate. It's not up for debate. Write a letter to the commissioner if you want. They've made their decision. See you tomorrow.
That.